Okay, hello everyone. We are here for Spotlight Sunday. We're 5 minutes late because technology problems. But we are here, and this is Tamera, and Tamera can go ahead and introduce herself, and we'll get started.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm Tamera Chapman. I'm the mindset coach for purpose-driven entrepreneurs. I have been doing one-on-one coaching for the past, oh my gosh, I want to say I've been doing it since I was 15, but honestly getting paid for it for the past couple of years. So, but I had started out with network marketing and got really ill in 2015 and kind of decided that I needed to really do some soul searching. And I realized that the network marketing was a huge step in this, and then decided to go take that leap and start my own business.
How fun. That's so exciting. That's great. Since you were 15. So it's just like talking to your friends or?
Well, I was raised in foster care, and
okay.
It was, I was the one that people always came to. And so I didn't realize it was a gift that I had, but now I see how I was created I was just created to do this. I feel so at home with it.
That's amazing. I love stories like that where you're like, it's just you. It's not a job. That's amazing.
Right. Oh my gosh. I always get teary eyed. I'm overly emotional. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. You don't have to apologize for anything. That's awesome. I love it when people are just so passionate about their thing. So perfect.
Cool.
Sorry, my phone's going off. Okay. So the next question is the one I ask everybody, is kind of what is your definition of branding, and how has branding affected your business?
Well, branding is something I'm currently working on. To me, it's how I relate to the people that are going to connect with me. Like, I would relate with somebody that's a Target shopper. Like, we label ourselves as Target shoppers, so I know that I'm going to find my people in Target somewhere. No, but really, it's just how I connect with my people, and it represents. It gives somebody an idea within 12 seconds if they want to interact with me.
12 seconds. I like that. That's an awesome goal.
Yes.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, so sorry, I'm looking at my notes over here.
Me too.
You're good. And so that's the end of my question. So let's just dive in. What do you want to teach us today?
Cool. Well, the three things that we're going to talk about is, and I am reading my notes over here. We're actually at our home away from home in San Diego under some unfortunate circumstances. So, but I'm like, the show must go on. Yeah. And this is so perfect because what I want to talk about is anxiety and fear and how they show up in our business and even our personal life. Yeah. What happens when we try to hide that feeling, and how we'll notice and welcome it. We just really need to welcome it because it's not going to go away, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're showing up in the way that you're meant to show up. So it doesn't really matter. Yes. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in business. Like, sometimes you see these top people, like maybe, Marie Forleo, Chalene Johnson, and we think, oh, well, they exude so much confidence and they don't have these anxiety and fear issues, and you just can't wait till you get there. But the truth is, every time they take a step up and they create something new, they have these same anxiety and fear that people that are just beginning that we have. So it doesn't ever go away. And it's really good when you can recognize it and then just totally welcome it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have something in my eye. I'm not like, I'm so sorry for being distracting, but I have something in my eye. So just ignore me and continue.
No, I feel that way too. I'm like, I need to wipe my eyes. Just introducing myself, it made my eyes water.
Sorry.
But most of my clients don't even cognitively realize that they're having, they're experiencing an emotion. Like, how often do we walk around and are like, this must be anxiety, and this is why I'm reacting in this sort of way. Yeah. But the truth is, that it shows up differently for everyone. So what I recognize with a lot of my clients is it shows up in overeating. It shows up in over drinking. Those are the two big ones. And a huge one is also over personal developing. So it
Yeah.
might feel like, yes, oh my gosh. And I'm so guilty. And I'm guilty of all of these, although I don't drink anymore, but I'm guilty of pretty much everything else that I'm talking about. And that's when I recognize, what is it that I'm trying to run from? So, but over planning, like, it is so much fun to plan for our business.
Yes.
But when it comes down to doing the work, that's when we're like, maybe I wasn't meant to do this. Maybe this isn't going to work. And that's a big reason why when we make a decision in the beginning of coaching, we stick out that decision, and you can change it later. But what I like to teach people is to stick things through, because that's when emotions well up. That's when feelings, and, and it's rarely that an action follows a feeling in a good way. It's usually you have to start the action, and that makes the feeling of wanting to do something happen. So, other ways that it shows up is when you start doubting that yourself, and you're like, I need to be spending more time with my kids and my husband. I mean, obviously there's a balance, but it happens so often that you start feeling guilty for these things that don't normally come up. Scrolling Facebook or Instagram and comparing ourselves. That's another way it shows up. Going out and buying things is another way.
Yeah.
Retail therapy it's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, obviously, if it's planned, it's fun, but really, it just means that we're trying to avoid a feeling that we don't want to deal with. So when we hide from an emotion, we don't ever truly have to deal with it, and that's kind of the point. Is we want to recognize the emotions that we're having, the anxiety and the fear, and realize that this is a normal feeling, that the anxiety and fear is not going to go away. Just like when we were getting on this call and Skype wasn't working the way that it was supposed to, I was like, I feel it in my back. I can't breathe. And, it's just a normal feeling. And we have to realize that it's going to come, and you can welcome it and say, you know what, it's here because I'm showing up in a way that might be a little bit uncomfortable, or in front of a group of people that they might reject me. And, we don't have that control over anybody rejecting us. So we just have to show up anyways. So awesome. Going back to my notes here.
No, I love it. That everything you've said is amazing so far. And we've got some comments too. So, Heather says she's so guilty of retail therapy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am guilty of like emotional eating in those situations. So like, I want all the mashed potatoes and ice cream, and like that's what I'm working on right now.
Yes, and the best way to, which we'll get to the end, but the best way is to pre-plan everything. And that's when you're going to be able to really deal with the emotions, because we're just so used to reacting. And the way my coach explained it to me is, we're very primitive brained. Like, we just want to react and do things. But, we are gifted with the brain that separates us from animals. And that's like where we get to plan things and, and things that help us to be really productive and creative in life. And we want to take advantage of doing that, but it takes discipline. And that's where a lot of people fall short, because we want to react rather than, kind of look at what's going on in our life. So, noticing another thing was just becoming aware of it. So like for anxiety, kind of how I mentioned just now, anxiety, I feel it in my back. Like I seriously start feeling like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. My shoulders go up, my back goes out, and I can't breathe. And I realize, okay, this is anxiety. And normally what I would do is I would like panic, or I would go grab something to drink. I would go Netflix binge for, I'm like, but I have to see the last 9 episodes of New Girl. You have no idea.
So important.
Right. It's life-changing. But just recognizing, okay, where is it showing up for you? Like, are you feeling it in what part of your body? Is it a soft feeling? Is it a hard feeling? Is it like, does it have a color? Which seems so crazy, and I always tell people, this, I'm going to ask you, and it's going to sound silly, but does it have a color? And most people are like red or gray. And I'm like, so it does have a color, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
but just to recognize it. And that way, when it does come up, especially fear and anxiety feel the same for me. Like even I'll feel it in my throat. I'll feel like I have a lump in my throat. Like we physically are reacting to an emotion. And because we think this emotion is going to kill us, like we're like, it's going to kill me. I have to run from it.
Yeah.
You know, but the truth is we don't. We can just recognize it and welcome it and move forward with our life and be like, okay, well, that was fun. You know, like there goes that anxiety. But ways to like overcome this and to even set yourself up for success and recognizing it is to schedule your life. And I know a lot of people, they're like, but that's why I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want to schedule my life. But the truth is, the more scheduled you are, the more free you really are. And every successful entrepreneur I know, they just agree with that. And I'm like, well, we must be on to something. So I believe it. But plan your day 24 hours in advance and know that you're not going to feel like doing what you're supposed to do when it's time to do it. And when you realize that you're not going to feel like doing it, then you can maybe stop doubting yourself and your abilities and show up in the way that you're supposed to, because you'll say, okay, well, I don't feel like doing it, but I knew I wasn't going to feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyways. So, when you don't want to follow your schedule, ask yourself, like in that moment, what is it that you're trying to avoid? For me, it was rejection. Like I had this, you know, like I said, I was raised in foster care. You know, I come from a schizophrenic mom that had a ton of issues. My dad ended up committing suicide. It was just fear mongered my entire life. And so when I would try to avoid fear, it was like, it like plagued me because I couldn't show up in the way that I wanted to show up in the world. So, sorry, I kind of went off trail there, but
no, it's great.
Just to, you know, to show that, you know, you're going to experience these emotions, and I always wanted to seek approval for people, even in network marketing. If someone didn't approve or they were doing it better, then I started doubting myself and I didn't realize my true authenticity. And it kind of stifled my growth. And you'll never be able to control what people are thinking. Like, Brooke, you might like me today, and tomorrow you might not like me. You might be in a bad mood, and I might be the first person you see, and you're like, ugh, you know, like, but I have no control over that. So,
that won't happen. I can promise you that. But I get it. You're so right. It's so true.
Yes. And so wouldn't you rather just show up in the way that you're supposed to show up and not care what other people think, rather than trying to control something you have no control over? Absolutely. I think that's what freed me from, you know, transitioning from network marketing with a huge team to transitioning to my own business. I was so scared that they were going to reject me, but I wasn't living my true calling in life. And when I made that switch, I was like, what was I so scared of? Like, now more people are getting value and changing their lives by what I have to share versus a product that I wasn't really passionate about. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that perspective.
Thank you. Another thing is to ask yourself, well, we just went over that, is asking yourself if you're scared that somebody's going to reject you. But, you know, when you do put work out there, and you have to know it's not going to be perfect. Like, I'm about to put another program out that freaks me out, because I feel like I'm like, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if I'm not covering this topic? What if I'm, you know, like, I have all these questions. But I would rather put work out knowing that I did my best. And so that might be B- work, rather than not showing up at all. Right. And, you know, because at least I'm going to get feedback from people, and it's going to help me to change and accommodate, not really accommodate, but to reach people in a way that they're asking for. But the only way I would know that is if I put that work out there.
Yes.
So
yes.
Definitely don't, when you have that anxiety and fear, do it anyways. Like, do it anyways, but show up for yourself. Obviously, you got to show up and do the work. It's work,
Yeah.
no matter what. It's work. And sometimes people want to avoid that. They don't want to do the work, but, all of that can become very overwhelming, and you feel like you have so many things to do. Like, I'm getting ready to do an expert interview series. If you've never done one, it is a lot of freaking work to get out there. I think I've sent out like 200 emails in the past week. It's insane. Wow. But, and then we have, the death of my husband's uncle. And then the next day, my foster daughter's dad passed away. Wow. And telling that to her, like, so much happened. And I was like, sitting in my bed, and I'm feeling that anxious feeling. I'm starting to feel sorry for myself. And then I remember that, you know what, I only have today in front of me. Like, what can I do today that's going to get me 80% of the results that I'm looking for? And so you find that 20% of work that's going to give you 80% of your results. And then you just start attacking it. Like, if you like lists, then you write down and list and do it that way, but attack those 20% of things that give you the 80% of results. When you go to bed that night, you're not feeling so anxious because you were very productive, even if you only got 20% of things done. I learned that with Brian Tracy in a book called Eat That Frog. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
no, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, he's a little dry, but but the concept is a really great concept. So, just to kind of recap is schedule yourself, live by your calendar, even if you think that it's not freedom, it really is. Ask yourself why you're afraid to put yourself out there if that is an issue. And then remember that you only have today, and to do 20% of what will give you 80% results.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
That's amazing. Seriously, those three things are it. Like, that's all you need, really.
Thank you.
I love it. Especially the planning one too, because I hear that same thing from a lot of my clients, because I'm a huge advocate of calendars and planning everything too. And it sounds so silly, but I plan my free time. Like, I block out my calendar as, this is free time, don't put anything else here. And I feel like I actually have more of it. And I do have more freedom when I can actually see it laid out on the calendar.
Absolutely.
That's so true.
And people will forget to give themselves free time. They'll work and work and work. Like, I was going to school online full time. I have like 180 credits, like 184 credits right now. And I am constantly just educating myself because I really value education. But I would be to a point where I was working all day on my business. I was working all day on, homework. And then I have a husband who, I'm a big advocate on marriage and having a strong marriage, because what is my life without my husband if I'm going to lose him during the process,
Right.
And I have children, and, I live with my in-laws, and we're helping to get them on their feet. And, life is busy, and you can't forget that you need to have free time too. And if you need to plan it, you need to plan it, because if you don't, eventually you'll get to the point where you just start slacking and buffering and doing when you're supposed to be working on your business, you'll be doing the drinking and Netflixing and all those different things.
Ice cream eating.
Yes. And then, right.
That's me.
But then you'll start feeling guilty, and you'll attach a guilt and shame to you. And we don't want to do that either. So it's just really good that you are scheduled and planned, and realize that life is going to happen.
Yes. I love it. That was so good. That was so good. I'll go through and read the comments and see if anybody has any questions. If anybody joined late or anything, and you have any questions, now is the time. Let's see what we got. Hi, everyone. We've been getting so many hearts, too. You're killing it with the hearts.
Yay!
I love the hearts.
Me too.
Hi, Brittany. Heather says, I notice my body tells me when I'm stressed, too. Very similar to what you said, Tamera. I feel it, like you said, your back and your throat. I feel it in my throat and my chest. Like my chest gets really tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dorothy's here, and Heather says, it says, I know you can't see Tamara, but I'm heart bombing the shit out of you right now.
Yay!
And Heather wants to know if you have a sample of what a successful calendar would look like.
Well, I have my own personal calendar,
Mm-hmm.
but I can post that in our the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Obviously,
cool.
It's going to look different for everybody, but it's not doing a contract. It's not a contract. It's not doing a calendar to make you feel productive. It's really, I don't do a time calendar. I do a results calendar, and that's what I tell people that I work with. Like, don't schedule 2 hours to do emails. Like, schedule 2 hours to do 200 emails. So you're doing, obviously that's a lot, but so you're getting the result that you want, not necessarily doing it time, because you could be on there and then you're looking at your phone. There goes 5 minutes, and you're doing this and you're looking at your phone, and we're probably all guilty of that. I know I am.
I'm sure everybody is. I am.
For sure. But definitely I can post something in there.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool to see, and I can post mine too. And if anybody else wants to post their calendar, that might be fun to just, because, like you said, it's going to look different from everybody, and because everybody's version of success is different. So,
yes.
But I do something similar though. Like I also, do it based on results, and I put my free time in first. Like if they're like non-negotiable, like I have my yoga schedule in there. Like, okay, this is yoga. I'll plan everything else around this and I'll get it done. But, prioritizing which things are the most important to you based on what your idea of success is. Like you said, your family and everything is really important too. So putting that first when you need to put it first, and fitting everything else in around it. And sometimes it's the opposite too, unfortunately. But just figuring what that means for you, I think is really important.
Absolutely. And like including sex on your calendar. Like I have to put that on my calendar because
that's a good
I'm
idea,
like a camel,
actually.
and I could go like a year without it. So I'm like, I'm going to write that in there.
I've never even thought of that, but that's not a bad idea at all.
Well, it's one thing I noticed is if I go longer than 3 days, my husband starts getting irritable. And then literally we did a test on it, and I showed it to him. I'm like, you start getting irritable if you've gone 3 days without it. And we know that's our limit. And it's so easy with such busy lives that we could forget about it, but then we're neglecting our marriage. So it's huge, balancing and making sure. Well, I don't believe in a balanced life. I believe there's balancing periods depending what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's definitely true. Let's see. We got a couple more questions in here.
Awesome.
I use Google Calendar with color for each business or type of task. Oh yeah, mine's color coded all day long too.
Yeah, mine too.
Heather says, I have sex on my habit tracker. Okay. Whatever works. And yeah, maybe it's not always an actual calendar, but some kind of other system. Yeah. Like if a calendar doesn't work for you, as long as you're, planning something, and being intentional about what you're doing and where you're spending your time and
absolutely
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mine's on my menstrual calendar because I'm like, I am feeling crabby. I need to look up when the next date is. So,
keep it all together.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. But whatever works for you. I mean, for some people, Google. For the longest time, everybody was saying write down, take a calendar and physically write it. That does not work for me.
Me neither.
And and I kept thinking there must be something wrong with me because, I can't seem to stick with that. But then I started using Google Calendar like 4 years ago, and I was like, this is amazing. And I get reminders, so I know how to transition to my next task. So yeah.
Yes, so true. I the same exact thing happened to me, and I'm like, I don't have OCD, but I'm very design OCD, if that were a thing. And I'll if it's not in a perfect line, or if there's too many scribble marks, my handwriting looks bad. I was focusing on that instead of the calendar. So Yeah, just finding something that works. I use Google Calendar, my Google Calendar too, and it's amazing.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
This has been fun. I
Yes.
was kind of nervous. I was like, oh, we're going to go live. I'm still working on my live things. I'm like, oh, what do I do with my hands? They're down here. So
Yeah.
I'm like, spirit fingers. Jazz hands.
Well, no, this has been amazing. Like, seriously, those were such good tips. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
If anybody's watching, when you're watching the replay, if you have any questions or comments for Tamera or myself, just put them in there and we can check back later. But thank you for everybody who has shown up live too. We've had a few people on live, and all the heart bombs, especially Heather, dropped all the heart bombs. So
thank you, Heather.
Yes, this has been an amazing one. So if you are just joining late, I've seen a couple people just joining late, you definitely want to go back and watch the beginning of this one and ignore when my eye was pouring water. Ignore that part, because Tamera was amazing. So just block my half of the screen if you need to. But it's been awesome. It's been so fun having you. And I will talk to you again soon in the group, because you're in here all the time and I love seeing you in here.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the value that you give constantly. Like, I've recommended you to a few people to you, because they could come in and just do your free thing and get so much value out of it. And I think that's what really is great about business owners, when they're willing to do that and not care that, maybe somebody might get value out of it and not ever pay you. Like, I think that's amazing. Obviously, our goal is to make money as a business, or else we wouldn't be in business. But for someone to give value, I've worked with a lot of people who won't give value. They just give you enough that makes you need to talk to them about something more. And I always feel icky about that. I'm like, I want to give you massive value. And if you want to hire me because you need one-on-one help, that's when I want to work with you.
That's exactly my strategy too. So I'm so glad that you are enjoying it, and it's so awesome to have you in here. It really is. I love, you're one of the ones, you're like one of my top engagement people all the time on my little stat list. It's amazing. I love it. And you're always providing like really good feedback too, not just, little emojis.
Yeah.
Not that I love emojis. I'm big on emojis, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, thank you. Oh, wait. You had your discovery calls too. Did you want to talk about those for a second?
Sure. If anybody feels like they need just like to understand a little bit deeper about how they might have some emotions that they're not dealing with, or where they're not showing up in their business, I decided to go ahead and do free, no obligation, no pressure, 30-minute discovery calls. And the link is in the event, but I'll also put it in, and you can feel free to schedule with me. I just love connecting with people. I love, I'm really good at pointing out patterns, and I want someone to be like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that. And that's where I get my excitement. So, and it's always good on calls. I feel like that's always the best.
Yes. So if you need help, sign up. It is in the event, and I'll put it also in either in the comments or in the description of this video too. So you shouldn't have a problem finding it, but sign up for that, everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I will be back in here. When will I be back? I'll be back Thursday, but, everybody else, feel free to, post in the group and tell us if you like this video and ask any questions that you have. And we will
please
talk soon.
All right. Bye, Brooke. Bye, everyone.
Bye.